don't like it. I'm doing the dishes.
So, right now, we're staying away. We just had a bit of pizza there, and I am prepping breakfast for tomorrow. So I'm doing some sort of like a little bit of like bruschetta sort of thing, but I prefer it cold on hot toast. So at the moment, I've got a bit of garlic and I've got onion in a pan with some sunflower oil. I'm just letting the onions brown a bit. And whilst they're browning, I'm just going to chop up some tomato. I'm just going to chop up some tomatoes. There's no really rhyme or reason how you chop them up. The smaller they are, the quicker they'll break down in the pan. This is because we want them to come to some sort of mulch in the end. I'm struggling here, to be honest with you. But again, just keep you stirring. You don't want them to stick to the pan. You know, if you have a non-stick pan, don't laugh. If you have a non-stick pan, that is more handy. Okay. So I'm just dicing up, carrying on dicing up some tomatoes. Again, there's no rhyme or reason. There's no rhyme or reason to how you're dicing them, because they're just all gonna go into the pan. They're gonna break down, and they're gonna form more like a sauce. Now, at the moment, I'm using different types of tomatoes. This is a great meal, not only for breakfast, but it's a great meal to get rid of some foods that might be pushing their use by date. And not only, obviously, in this household, we ignore the use by date as well. But in the sense of, you know, if they're becoming a bit too ripe, it is a quite good meal to make, because, you know, they all go in the pot and they'll cook away. You know, you don't need the. Okay, just remember to keep an eye on the onions as well. And you might want to put it on a bit of less heat. No, you don't want to. Don't zoom in. A bit of a medium to low heat. Make sure they don't get. There you go. Make sure they don't get stuck. If they get stuck, that's the issue. So now they've browned a bit. So what we're going to do is just drop the tomatoes in. Now I'm going to let this first batch of tomatoes go, and we're going to then get some more oil herbs going on. And all that. So there's the first batch. If you want to give it a bit of a mix, you know, make sure that the wetness gets to the bottom. Give it a nice little mush as well. You know, the more you mush it, the more the skin, it takes the skin quicker to break down in the long run. Now I'm going to turn the heat on just a tad bit more for this pot, just to get it started. More tomatoes. And again, I'm just, no rhyme or reason to how you, there's no rhyme or reason to how you chop the tomatoes. It's all going to get brought down to a lovely bit of mulch at the end of the cooking process. Again, mixture of tomatoes. With my eyes.
Is there a San Marcos in the sink?
That's Lockie's. Can you try not to interrupt, please?
Sorry.
Thanks. So now we've got all the Tommy Toms on. Let's give it a good mush. Probably in the future we'll use a big pan. And I would have used a bigger pan, but yeah, that smells about right. So what I'm going to do is add a good helping of salt. Now, if you want to make sure that the S is the one that's salt, good amount of salt, because that helps bring out the moisture in the tomatoes. And there we got black pepper as well. We should just give it a bit of a grind. Yes, like that. Good, lovely mix. Now what I like to do is so at the start, obviously I brought onion and garlic. So I think now with all my garlic, I like to add it in at different parts. So you've got the cut garlic and the more raw garlic, and towards the end I do the chicken in. That big one was up there.
Alright.
And at the end I like adding in some raw garlic just for a nice little fresh kick. So if we just want to slice, you know, I don't really do the claw technique. I think it's a fucking liberal myth. We just slow stuff down, to be honest with you. And add in a bit now, a bit of garlic into the mixture. Now I'm going to bring the heat up just a tad.
It's up here.
It was behind them pots.
Just leaning back.
Yeah, like vertical. Now I want to season with a bit of fresh basil. It's not hard to come by. We have a basil plant outside, that's where we get it from. Grows freshly every morning. We go out and pick some. As you can see, we go through a lot now. It depends on how many tomatoes you've done. Just want to give that a bit of a mix as well, you know, don't want to let it sit for too long. As you can see now, it's slowly breaking down over time. Now, best way to cut basil that I've learned. Starting with the biggest leaf. You got the bigger leaves, and you move in to the middle, like this. And then you roll it up like it's a little zoot. And then you just want to give that a bit of a stir as well. It starts making some noise. Let's make sure it's broken down really well there. Okay, now once you've done it up, you start here and you just give it a bit of this. There we go. Oh yeah, see. Like as I said with the garlic before, adding it in periodically at different times really helps with the flavour profile. And you know, you have cooked basil and more of a fresh sort of basil towards the end if you keep adding it in. So I'm just going to add about a third of what I've just chopped now into the mixture. And sometimes if you've got wet fingers, it does get stuck to your fingers as well. Cut it off. There we go. A bit of tomato there, so I'll just put it back in the pot. Again, if you want to give it a bit of a mush, mushing really helps to just break the tomato down. Again, if you want to add some parsley, it's another great herb to use whilst you're cooking. And same with the basil. If you want to add it, you know, in parts. We also have a basil and a parsley plant outside, and we go and harvest it every morning. Parsley and basil, probably two of the most versatile herbs out there. They work in a plethora of dishes, from salads to pastas to, you know, even rice dishes to soups to, you know, anything under the sun. Meat works. I personally don't eat meat, but I've heard that basil and parsley work well. If you just want to keep this, when you hear it making a noise, just want to keep it moving. Now, as you can see now, it's looking less like tomatoes and more like a bit more of like a mulch. Yeah, it's more of a mulchy sort. You know, it looks less like chopped tomatoes just sitting in a pan. It looks more like a sauce. So as I was saying about parsley and basil are two of the most versatile herbs. They're great for cooking at home. They're great for obviously high-end cooking as well. Best thing is to try and chop it as much as possible. It helps release that aroma. It's beautiful. It brings a beautiful, fresh, sometimes peppery taste or scent to a dish. Sorry, my assistant was laughing there. But as I did with the garlic and as I did with the basil, just want to add it in. Don't let it get too bubbly, so I'm just going to drop the heat just a tad. A little bit of a tad. Just a bit of a tad. So then, still making noise. We kind of, especially in the kitchen, this kitchen at home, kind of go for a no reels sort of rule, but sometimes some people don't listen. Was that you? That's the floor. We've got creaky floorboards in this house. Again, if you just want to keep it on like a little stir. Don't want to let too much. Yeah, it's good, isn't it? It's good. Now drop the heat so you can barely even see the heat. Add a bit more basil in. Again, if you've got wet fingers, it can get stuck to your fingers, and a bit more parsley as well. Can you stop making noise? And then about half of the remaining raw garlic. I'm just going to chuck that in, and this is where the fun part comes. You okay? Add some more of that tomatoey liquids. You know, you don't want to waste not, want not. Seeds are incredibly good for your health. I'm just going to give it a bit of a mix now. Now I've added the half of the remaining garlic. I've added some of the basil and the parsley. This is the best part in my opinion. And you can have a bit of a beer. Shit, turn the whole stove off there. Does just sound like a fart in there. There we go. Cover it up. Check it once in a blue moon. Lowest heat as possible. See that? No, we'll go even lower. We'll go to the tiny baby. Sorry, I've never used this hot before. There we go. Why are both of them lit? Oh shit, there's this one. There we go. No, I'm just trying to lower the heat. There, simmer. Simmer at most. And at this point, you can leave it for a good however long you fail, so you just let the flavours get richer and more. I'm probably just going to have a little tidy up and then a bit of a beer. But I'll catch you back in a minute when I'm ready for the next part of the cooking.
You just spat all over my chair.
I didn't spit, I was just giggling. So one of the things I like to do when I'm taking a break from cooking is snuggle up to a loved one, reading some beautiful words of affirmation and some loving words there from my partner. As they're on mute, so I'm just reading what they think about me. So my partner nodded off, but I had to get up anyway, so I didn't want to disturb them, so I snuck up. I gave him a little tuck in. Yeah, so you know, could try it one. So after a little bit of time cuddling up to my partner, they were quite tired. So after a good amount of resting and having a lovely little cuddle with my partner, they started to nod off, and as I had to get back up anyway to keep an eye on the food and finish off the meal, I quickly snuck out and I took them in, all nice and cozy, so they could go to sleep. So now it's been about 5 or 10 minutes, so I'm just going to give a little check. Might be a bit steamy here, so I might fog up the camera. Ow, fuck, I don't. So as you see now, it's, you know, slowly getting sloppier and sloppier. What? There's a lot bad. I don't know why have you got your hands over your face. Imagine this. I'm trying to flip it like it's a pancake, it's not working. Imagine this on your toast in the morning. So what I'm going to do now is completely take it off the heat. I'm going to fill a little basin up with water, cold water. We'll skip when it's filled up. We're done. So what you want to do is now, remember this spoon. What you want to do is you want to submerge the pot, but not until the top, because that means the water will get in. So if you just do it like this, and if you just give it a mix, Now the cold water around a hot pan slowly start cooling down the pan, which therefore, in fact, will cool down the tomato dip inside. And I'll skip back when it's gotten a bit cooler. Once it is cool to the touch. Okay, so once it's cooled down, you'd like to transfer it into any sort of sealable, coverable pot. Your thoughts or your choose. If you're just going to scrape out all the ends of it, because you don't want to waste any food. I don't know if I said at the start, but if you just make sure you wash your hands as well, because it makes this step a lot easier. And then, with the leftover garlic and herbs, you just pick it up, do a bit of a sprinkle. Again, waste not, want not, try and get as many as possible. Transfer it down in the thing. I got wet fingers again, so it's hard to come off. Shit. I'm just going to give that a mix. So whilst this sits in the fridge overnight, obviously this is for, I like to have this on breakfast, on my toast, for breakfast. It's a lovely meal. Start the day, you know, a bit of a tangy, sort of garlicky sort of tang on the toast. It's better than bread and it's better than marmalade. And it's up there, the jam sandwich, but it is pretty good. It's a good way to start your day. So, literally, if we just chuck it in the fridge, just find a shelf in the fridge, chuck it in. That should cool down overnight. So now all you've got left to do is finish off the dishes. In the morning, if you would make some toast, how you usually would, you could butter it, maybe even oil it if you're feeling a bit fancy. And then you scoop it on and spread it along the toast. And there we've got it, Jacob's toast. This is also a big day. This is our first cooking episode in the Damsion. Finally got this place, if you want to show it a bit around. Lucky, obviously you've got a lovely little kitchen area, got a little breakfast, a little breakfast bar, got a little hen. Yeah, it's a lovely little self-contained studio flat, and this is the Damsion now. I'd like to welcome you back next time. Just want to subscribe down below and like and subscribe. Is there anything else I need to say, Cody?